Hello, welcome again to my new workspace. Today I'm just going to kind of go over my welcome letter, and I'll probably give some different details in here than I did in the letter, but if you want the broad strokes, you can always just look at the letter that I'm also attaching to this assignment. So, first things first, my name's Stephen Garland. I pretty much already stated that my students call me a variety of things, but the first thing I want to talk about is where I grew up. So I grew up in Centralia, Illinois, which some of you are probably familiar with and some of you are probably not. So I started out in the country. It was nice. My parents had a nice little trailer right on the lake. So I spent a lot of time in the water. I spent even more time on the boat dock fishing and then screaming every time I caught a fish for an adult to come take it off the hook because I was too afraid to. But my parents did split up when I was pretty young. So I went from a very, very small school called Raccoon Grade School with a graduating class of around 30 to Centralia Junior High School, which was much larger, and I think my graduating class was like 150. Some of you are actually probably from feeder schools that were as small as mine, if not smaller. It just kind of depends. We're a diverse group of people. So once I moved to the junior high, I started getting encouraged to do a lot of Englishy things. My teachers saw that I really liked English and I was pretty good at it. I got entered into like public speaking competitions and I got put in the honors track and all that kind of stuff. That also happened with math, and I am really good at math too. If you need help with math, let me know. But let's start with English and then we can do the math stuff later. So once I went to junior high, it was nice because I got to, see what it was like in a larger school where my identity wasn't so set in what 30 people knew about me already. I kind of got to not recreate myself, but play around with who that person was. I also joined choir, and that was a big step. And I met this girl named Jayla, who was the first person I've ever met in my life who was very, very strange and just super into being strange, not apologetic about the weird things that she was into. And that was new for me. By high school, you guys have probably become a version of that person. But in junior high, for me, that was like, what? You don't have to be afraid of your interests that your friends would make fun of. So that was big for me. And it also got me out of my shell in a major way. I would not talk to people. I would not speak unless I was spoken to. And I was very, very quiet. I would much rather just have a book in my hands than hold a conversation. And everything changed after I switched to the junior high and met Jayla. And I became too talkative. I got in trouble constantly for talking in class. I can remember the sentence that my freshman year geometry teacher made me write over and over and over again. Because teachers still have people write sentences over and specifically because I was talking too much in class, and that was a big thing. That was also the teacher who gave me an A- instead of an A, and that's why I wasn't the valedictorian of my high school class. So I'm definitely not still salty about that, But that's a little bit about who I am as a person. I also wanted to talk about who I am as a teacher and what some of my goals are. I was really encouraged by some of my high school English teachers to become an English teacher. Up to that point, I was thinking lawyer sounds nice, judge sounds better. But then a couple of English teachers had us teach our classes. They gave us the content and they said, you do the research and you present. You can write a quiz, you can do all the things. You're the teacher on this day. And it was awesome. I ended up being paired with a friend of mine who was really shy, kind of like before 7th grade me. She did not love the idea of talking to people. I remember she failed our freshman speech because she refused to give it. She did not refuse to give this one, but she was definitely, the shyer of the two. And it was at that moment when I was like, this is fun. I enjoy talking about stuff that I've read and getting feedback from other people who've also read it and would like to talk about it. And that's why I've always kind of looked at English and being an English teacher as just running a book club that you get a lot of say in. But over the years, I've started to change that vision into a group that is more student led. I want my students to have as much say in what they're learning and how they're learning it as the teacher. And I really want to center my students in the classroom rather than centering myself as this like source of knowledge. I'm not this person who knows everything. I know a lot of things, and I will definitely pretend I know more things than I actually know if that's what you want. But I really do try to center your knowledge, your experiences, and then make this class more of a way to edify what you've experienced, what you know, and transform that into ways that you can improve the world around you. So those are pretty lofty goals. They're not always achievable, but they're what we're kind of working toward here. Now, some things I do around the school. I am involved in a lot of things. I help advise the book club, which is the student book club. I also do a faculty book club and an equity book club, which I'll talk about more later. I also am the advisor for Spectrum, which is kind of like a gay straight alliance, but that's not really what any of those clubs are anymore. But it's a club for our LGBTQ plus students where they can come talk and, feel free to be themselves, talk about issues that they're running into around the school. And then, one of my jobs is to kind of help remedy those issues as best I can. And then that kind of leads me to the Racial Equity Committee that I just got put on. And that's a district-wide committee. So that's for both East and West. And the idea is that there are some equity deficiencies that our school kind of experiences, and our students of color especially are not benefiting from them in a way that we'd like to improve so that everybody is benefiting from the system that we're in. Everybody can enjoy school, feel safe, feel like their experiences are acknowledged and heard, and not discouraged from speaking up when there is a problem. So that's something I really care about, and it's something I try to center also in the classes that I teach, which is why if you look at the curriculum for this particular class, this is a survey of American literature, and what I've chosen is to focus on the themes of culture and context. So we're going to look at multiple cultures throughout our history as a nation, and how they all build toward a national identity. And there is no one way to be an American, but a lot of us have very insular experiences. A lot of us, only know one or two versions of what that looks like, plus whatever you see on TV, which is obviously a completely different beast. But the idea here is that we put some context into that. We add history to our literature, to our stories. We talk about them and how they are still relevant to us today, how they're relevant to you, what you're getting out of these experiences. And hopefully in the letter you'll see there are lots of book options. You'll have several different ways in which you'll get some say in what you're reading. Sometimes we'll read a whole class book, but sometimes I'll have several options available, and you'll get to choose one of them, and that'll kind of decide who you're working with. If you've done lit circles in the past, you know what we're talking about. That'll be a little bit harder for remote as opposed to in person, but since I'm doing both this year, I will make that work, and that'll be my job, not yours. Now, I know I won't be able to cover every question that you have for me in an introduction video, and that's why eventually my goal is to ask you some questions and give you an opportunity to ask questions anonymously so that I can then answer them to the larger group, because you're probably not the only one with those questions in the first place. But in terms of what this class is going to be, I want it to be a place where you feel heard. I want it to be a place where everyone's experiences are acknowledged and accepted. And I want us to find ways that we can really build good communication structures and community. Even if we're not meeting every single day or even at all in person, I want us to be able to look at the people in this group and say, like, this is somebody that I can talk to. This is somebody who listened and understood my experiences, and help build our foundations of this course together. So I hope you feel like you know me a little bit better, but either way, the rest of the day, you'll be working on your presentation for me. So remember to include some primary documents. If all you have is pictures, that's fine. That's totally acceptable. If you have some awards, if you have some like newspaper clippings that have you in them, like that would be super cool. Please include that. Please feel free to include stuff that I didn't think to include, but would give us, like a little viewpoint into who you are as a person. And rest assured, I'm not going to subject you to the whole class making inferences about you, but we will be sharing these presentations with the whole class. So I eventually plan on putting together a slideshow with everybody in there, including me, so that we can kind of see who we are in documents versus who we are as people. So good luck with that. Let me know if you have any questions. Google Hangouts, Gmail, all that. Just let me know, and have a fantastic rest of your day.